This is your Daily 5 for Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. I had to check on this a few times, but I did not realize that I had never in the show's entire run reviewed 1989's Tetsuo, the Iron Man, a movie that Lando and I recently watched for one of our commentary videos, and I knew Lando had never seen it. I just assumed I had talked about it at some point, but I think that I had actually watched it shortly before starting the show, and then I don't know that I've watched it since then, so it's probably been about 20 years. It's a movie that I mostly remembered, but had not actually gone back and watched front to back in a very long time. And so I felt, and even if I had reviewed it, because I'm going to do what more or less is a revisit of a review for tomorrow's show for the other movie we watched, but I feel like even if I had talked about it, it would have been so long ago that there probably weren't a lot of people listening then that are listening now, assuming there are a lot of people. I don't even know what the numbers are, but it feels like I can go ahead and review it. But I don't think I did. I couldn't find it searching at all, even for the word Tetsuo. All I came up with was Akira references. Also a great film, but a very different one. Tetsuo the Iron Man is borderline experimental. It really is. It is a movie that is so singular in the way that it approaches things that if it didn't have a narrative, you would call it an experimental film. Now, it does have a narrative. It's a fairly simple story. It is really a 3-character science fiction drama film, I guess, about a metal fetishist, and I won't spoil any more of what that means by just saying metal fetishist, who is hit by a man and his love interest. I don't know how specific that is. The movie never points out. But they hit this individual, they throw him into a ditch, and leave him. I think they think he's going to die, but I'm not sure. It's not really clear. And as a result of that encounter, the man begins to develop a strange, I don't know what the right word would be. So let's say affliction, where he starts turning into a metallic monster. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that he starts to look like a Power Ranger villain or something like that. I mean, he sort of does, but far more Cronenberg body horror, where metal pieces and filaments and structures are beginning to grow out of him and replace his body parts. And this leads to a confrontation that the whole movie builds to between the metal fetishist and this individual, who I don't think, if I remember in the credits, is just credited as man. He doesn't even have a name. But as he is transforming, he starts to orbit and become entangled in an ultimate conflict with the metal fetishist, who, as far as we can tell, is the source of his affliction. It's, in a lot of ways, it feels very similar to the Stephen King story Thinner, or if you've seen that movie, where the person is cursed by somebody after a similar event happens, something along the same lines, and he starts to lose weight to the point where he's going to become nothing. Well, this is sort of the reverse. The salaryman starts out as a normal man and starts to accumulate metal until he is becoming something very, very different than he starts out as. The thing about this movie is, it is a movie that feels like it is constantly vibrating. It is moving at such a kinetic speed. It's in black and white. There's a lot of really harsh, quick editing. It has a personality that is all of its own. It really feels like almost nothing else. I can't necessarily recommend it as a blanket thing that anybody should watch. But if you're an anime fan, it feels a lot like a live-action anime film. But actually, both the movies that Lando and I watched feel that way. But this one feels the most like something that would be a one-off experimental short, along the same lines in very, very broad strokes as something like Dragon's Heaven, where you feel like, okay, this was something that somebody had a very specific set of visions and imagery for, made it, and it's unlike much else out there. That's what Tetsuo the Iron Man is. But it is not a general audience film, because it does at times feel like it is moving so in such a zigzag, fast action manner that it almost becomes unwatchable. I think for some people it probably will become unwatchable. Luckily, this is a classic, you'll know if you're in or out within 15 minutes film. In that first 15 minutes, if you're not on board with what this movie is doing, then get out. But if you enjoy that first 15 minutes, then hang on, because it's only going to get more and more insane from there. So I had a great time with Tetsuo the Iron Man. I would recommend it to a specific type of audience, but that specific type of audience, they're going to enjoy the heck out of it. Later.